Welcome back, everyone. Good evening. Beautiful Thursday evening. Welcome to everyone around the world. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Lovely to see you all back again. Hope you're all well. Tonight, it is all about me and you. It's all about us tonight having a bit of a get-together, a bit of a chat, and getting a few things off of our chests. Let me just adjust that light. That's better. Good evening, Nicola. How are you? Good to see you. Good evening, Jay. Oops, a daisy. Good evening. So let's have a look. You're all piling in. I can see you coming in there. Loads to get through tonight, guys. But more than anything, I want to hear your views tonight. Nicola, nice to see you, Paul. Thanks, Nicola. I've actually been away. Some of you might have noticed that the videos haven't been coming as thick and fast as they normally do over the last week. Well, I've been in Spain again. I didn't announce it this time before I went. We know what happened last time. Everything went into meltdown. So I kind of kept that one a bit quiet. Mrs. T and myself went down to Spain for a week. Had a lovely time. Very nice. So yeah, had a lovely time, but a bit quiet. So back onto it. First live stream of the week. Lots more to come as normal. Good evening, Ra. How you doing? Hulk Screen Arse, lovely to see you, my friend Abigail. Thank you very much. Very well. So guys, look, the question tonight is, and as I said, we've got a lot to go through. The question tonight is, where do we go from here? And where are we going from here? Because over the last few weeks, obviously, so much has changed. Claire Bear says, hi, Paul. Please tell Ben I couldn't stop reading the book. Brilliant, Claire. Glad you enjoyed it. El Thorpo. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so basically, we had a week down in Spain. Just to sort of chill out and relax, have a little look round, and couldn't wait to get back onto the lives. I was going to do a live from Spain, but the internet connection was appalling, and it just wasn't viable. Danny is on his way back from Marbella, back up to Murcia, where he lives, so he wasn't able to join us tonight. I'll be getting Richard back on as soon as possible. But tonight, guys, it is just us. And the reason it's just us is that I want to ask you where you think we go from here. Because things have changed over the last few weeks. We were getting on superbly. I think the 27th was probably the pinnacle of what we've managed to achieve so far. Sadly, spoilt in many ways by the events that took place afterwards and the government's reaction to what took place, which, look, by quelling the problems, they did the right thing. That's a good thing. But the heavy-handed approach has frightened a lot of people. I think all of us YouTubers included in that. When I say frightened, I don't mean quivering, shaking. I just mean we all have to be very careful about what we say. And there's been a lot of discussions and debates in the background as to where we should go, how we should proceed, which is the best route to take, how we do that. Because the feedback that I'm getting is that a lot of you guys are very concerned about potentially attending any events. We won't call them demonstrations. We'll just call them events. And I understand why. I think most right-minded people would be very wary. Thank you, Maggie. Really appreciate that. A parade. Yep. A parade is a good word for that. Thanks, Jennifer. But I've been thinking about the best way forward. Now, look, I can't reveal everything that's been going on in the background, because the people that I've been speaking to, I haven't had their permission to talk about the discussions that have been going on. But there has been talks about how do we proceed. We're all chomping at the bit, raring to go. We want to get some positive bits and pieces going, but it's down to you guys as well. So I want to know what you guys think we should do and how we can safely proceed. Let's have a look at one or two of your messages. Nossa Crad, I love you, Paul, but your wings have been clipped. We all know our wings have been clipped. Be careful what you say. You don't want to end up in Estonia, do you? Nor do I, vile world we live in now. I mean, look, this is true. Every word that he said there is true. Thank you for that. I think all of our wings have been clipped, and those that haven't allowed their wings to be clipped need to be very, very, very careful. And that is the danger. So the question tonight is, what do we do and how do we proceed? Now, I have an idea in my mind, which I'll come to later, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. Sue Curtin says, need to get Starmer out. That'll be a great start. Well, unfortunately, that isn't going to happen, is it? He's here, I reckon, for the foreseeable future at least. I think he is quite clearly proving to be a bit of a control freak. And I would imagine that he has his cabinet well and truly towing the party line. So will there be any dissent amongst the Labour ranks? I think there already is to a degree. We've certainly seen some over the heating allowance for pensioners. But I think that Keir Starmer is a man that has his hands on the reins and isn't going to take any hands off in the foreseeable future. So I don't think there's much chance of him going, not at the moment. By the way, guys, I did one coming up for the future. I went to see Liam Tufts today, the Dozen podcast. If you haven't seen it, check out the Dozen podcast. I've done a second interview with Liam, which will be live before too long. Good evening to the moderator. Nice to see you there, mate. Thank you for popping in and looking after the chat. Appreciate that. So basically, look, we need to know how we're going to proceed. Now, look, there's been talk of all different sorts of things, maybe a new political party, maybe, you know, we start to organise events again, etc., etc. Nobody's really quite sure where to go and how to proceed safely. Now, I've come to a number of decisions over the last week. Went away, had a lovely chilled out week, just me and the wife. And she said to me during the week, you know, we've been a bit quiet on this holiday. You know, why have you been quiet? And I said, well, I've been doing a lot of thinking. There's a lot to consider. Because I got into this line of YouTubing, if you like, because I care. I care about the country deeply. I care about the people that live in it, all the people that live in it. I'd love to see us unite as a kingdom. But things have, under Labour, I think things were going very well until Labour revealed themselves to be as dangerous as they clearly are, and willing to put people in prison for, I'm not going to say next to nothing, but for very menial things at any other given time would probably only lead to a fine, if that. Rob, thank you very much. If 1 million of us march at once, what can they do? Arrest us all? No, they couldn't, Rob. But what they would do is they would arrest the organisers. They would arrest the organisers. They would arrest the chosen few, whoever that may be. Now, what I'm saying is, Rob, is that you could be on that list. You could be one of the ones that they choose to arrest. It could be me. It could be anyone. It could be absolutely anyone that was in that crowd that they point the finger at and go, you're going to be a victim. Now, the problem is right now, Rob, is that I think you'd have a great deal, I think you'd have a big problem getting 1 million people to come out onto the street in a peaceful demonstration, have to keep pointing it out, because a lot of them would be concerned. And I get that. And I have spoken a lot in the past about my responsibility as a YouTuber to you guys out there that watch me. Again, I go back to that word. It's not a word that I like. Influencer. If you are influencing people, and whether you think I am or whether I'm not, there are people out there that will be influenced by what they hear on YouTube. If you influence people to go along to a peaceful demonstration and something goes wrong, something happens, then you would have you wouldn't be responsible for someone else's actions, but you'd feel damn guilty if someone got arrested and sent to prison for next to nothing, and you're the one that encouraged them to go. Nicola Webster says another 27th, bigger and better. That is my belief, Nicola. I think you're right. I think we need another 27th, but it needs to be bigger and better. But more than anything, we need to be able to ensure that it stays and remains peaceful and it remains safe for everyone. And it worries me that, I'm just being honest with you guys, it worries me that I don't think there'd be any trouble from our people. I really don't. I think that if you look back at the 27th, it was a family day. And that can happen again. A family day can happen again where there's no problems or troublemakers. But what we can't do is we can't guarantee that there won't be any agitators or sinister influence. And that concerns me for everyone. Watch BAM Scotland. Can you give a shout out for Glasgow peaceful protest this Saturday? Guys, keep it peaceful, behave yourselves, and don't get into trouble. That is the main message. Amazing Grace. Focus on the good things that Great Britain has done throughout our history. Well, wouldn't that be nice? Thank you very much, Paranormal Channel. Yeah, had a lovely week. I'll tell you a bit more about Spain later on in the video. But for me, the way ahead is for more 27ths. But here's the big one. Here's the really controversial one. And nobody, not even my friends, who I respect immensely, nobody knows that I'm going to say this. And this is going to be controversial. This is going to please some people. This is going to really piss some people off. But I have to be honest with you, and I have to be honest with myself. At the moment, all I see in the centre right, all I see is division. We have UKIP. We have Reform. We have Reclaim. We have the Heritage Party. We have this movement, if you like, our movement of peaceful, kind, tolerant people that just want to see a British Britain. The people of the 27th, should we call them? We have GB News. We have Talk TV, who are, I believe, mostly on our side. We have all these different groups, all these different media outlets, all these different YouTubers. But let's be honest, we're not united. The left is united. And that is a massive, massive problem. Oops, a Daisy gifted a membership. Thank you very much, Adam. Good evening. Thank you. Evening, Paul. I've had to update my membership. Thank you very much, Adam. Really appreciate that. So my big question, my big dilemma that I was asking myself whilst I was away, how do we forget about uniting the kingdom for the moment? We've got to unite ourselves. And that's the big problem. The left are united. The left are in government. They're more than united. They are in government. So how does the centre right unite? The Tories are toast. They're finished. They're done. There's nothing that we cannot work with the Conservative Party because they are no longer a Conservative Party at all. So we cannot even consider working with the Tories. They haven't even got a leader at the moment. Alison Terry, hi Paul, hope you're well. It's Alison who's with you in the pub, with you all down at Whitehall. Nice to hear from you, Alison. Hope you're well. Thank you very much. Where is Danny? If you're talking about Danny in Spain, he's in Spain. If you're talking about Danny Tomo, I haven't spoke to Danny. I keep meaning to do that, but I've been away. But I know he's okay, but I haven't spoken to Danny since, well, when was it? Not long after the 27th, I think, to be fair. So the problem is, who do we unite behind? That's a big problem. Who do we unite behind and where do we go? Is it true the government has sent money to India for climate control while our pensioners freeze? Stevie, I think our government sends money all over the world. Not just to India. I mean, I'm not an economic expert. I don't study all this stuff, but we do know that in overseas aid, money is spent heavily. All those things, in my opinion, are mostly wrong. We should be taking care of our own first, of course. Exactly. Danny is protecting his family. Family comes first. Don't you know that? Exactly. That's what I would imagine what Danny's doing. And if he is, that's exactly the right thing to be doing. Ben and Chunk, when is our next London protest? Wasn't a protest, Ben. It was a celebration, really, an event. There's no plans at the moment. We don't know. Nothing has been confirmed, but no doubt as soon as it is, everyone will know. I will never conform. Good evening, Paul. Good evening, mate. How you doing? Let's have a look at Patrick. Patrick says, Britons have allowed themselves to be portrayed by those they elected to represent, police, judge and protect them. Take matters in your own hands or you're an Islamic Republic. Turn the boats around. That's your opinion. Not necessarily shared by myself. Yes, I do believe we should be turning the boats around, but we cannot take matters into our own hands, Patrick. That cannot happen. The only way that we can resolve this ultimately is peacefully and through the correct channels. If anyone thinks differently, you'll be making a big mistake, trust me, and you'll end up in the same place as some of those other people who did things that they shouldn't do a few weeks back. This has to be done through the ballot box, and this is what I'm talking about right now. This is a very grown-up conversation. This is very important because I care about you guys out there, and I don't want any of you getting yourselves into trouble. We have to do this right. So the big question is, who do we get behind? Do we get behind the Conservatives? No, they're done. They're not interested in us. They've proved that over the last three or four general elections when we have told them what we want. We have told them exactly what we want. The nation has voted for them to do certain things. And then once they're elected, not only did they not do them, They made things even worse. Just like Brexit. Just like Brexit. No different. So here's the thing, talking about Brexit. A lot of you will know, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, right? I can't do anything else, but I cannot lie and cheat you people. For months now, I've been under pressure from my family to leave the UK. I've been under pressure to go and live elsewhere, to see out my retirement in sunnier climes, in a country where you're welcome, where you feel safe, where your input is appreciated, your taxes that you pay are appreciated and used properly. And people say to me, well, Paul, you voted for Brexit. What a hypocrite. No, not at all. And I'll tell you why. If Brexit had been delivered, we wouldn't be looking to go and live abroad. It's because Brexit was never delivered that we're in the mess that we're in today. If Brexit had been delivered, our country would not be in the mess that it's in today, because the people of this nation voted Brexit to stop mass migration into this country. There is no doubt about that. That's not up for debate. Everyone knows that that is why Brexit was voted for by the people of this country. We also know that the wishes of the people were denied. The democratic vote was denied. We got Brexit in name, and we got all the downsides to Brexit, and I know there were downsides. And let me make it clear. My vote to leave the European Union was a very, very selfless one. Not selfish, selfless. And I'll tell you why. Because at the time, I was running a business that was very, very productive, very profitable for me by dealing with partners right across Europe. But for me, the bigger picture was more important. The future of my children and my grandchildren was more important than my income. And I felt like 17 million other people that by voting for Brexit, we would secure our borders and make our country a safer place to be. So that was the supposed or the hoped for positive, that we would still bring in plenty of immigrants and migrants into these countries, but they would be the right type. They would be the doctors, the nurses, the emergency workers, the people that will come in and offer this country something. But it never materialised, did it? We didn't get the Brexit that we voted for. So for anyone to call me a hypocrite, or my family hypocrites for wanting to go and live abroad, no, not at all. We never got what we voted for. We never got that in the first place. So I've been resisting moving abroad. I've been resisting moving my family, my girls, my children, my grandchildren. I've been resisting moving them to another country. And I've been resisting that now for a couple of years. But it's getting to the point where I can't resist any longer. And it's getting that way because this country is becoming, under Labour, an impossible place for many people, for us to live in. We fear for our safety. We fear for our futures. We feel unwanted. We feel like second-class citizens in our own home. We feel that our daughters are in danger. And I run a poll just yesterday. I'll pop it up on screen now. Since Labour took charge of the country, how do you feel about both your own and the safety of your family? The question had over 30,000 votes. 1% said they feel safer under Labour. 4% said they feel no real change. 95% of the people who responded to this poll said they feel less safe. 95%. And every single day of our lives, we sit there and we read one horror story after another. This has happened. That has happened. A problem here, a problem there. Andy Binns, good evening, Andy. Sham 69, 1978, let the world be united. Thank you very much, Adam. Really appreciate it. David, Labour is turning our prisons into Holocaust for British people. Well, that's a big statement, David. There's probably a few people that would be offended by that, but I get what you're saying. Solaris, thank you. We need a carnival. They're always peaceful. Yeah, I get the irony. Can't wait for another event. Absolutely love the 27th. Cheers, Graham. I mean, Graham, look, that's a really, really good point. And it's a good example of what I'm talking about. We saw what took place at the Notting Hill Carnival. We saw the media's benign reaction to it and to the events. 2 people dead, gone, taken from their families. And it was described as a mostly peaceful event. The 27th was described as a fascist gathering of Nazi sympathisers and all the rest of the nonsense that went with it. So you can see the problem that we face. Mark, thank you very much. Stand together peacefully no matter what happens. Stand together peacefully. Exactly. Captain Nutmut, the government relies on money. Down tools, go bowling. Stop paying money. Make the government literally pay in a peaceful way. We can do it. Eddie, thank you. Hi, Paul. Patriotic Brits such as you and Richard have the moral compass here, not the Islamists, communists and the left-wing loonies. Love all your videos and live chats. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Lee. Really appreciate that. Sufferfish, only living in the sticks is safe in Western world. And a lot of people feel like that. Sorry, I've gone off track a little bit there, but going back to the Spanish thing or moving abroad potentially. Now, last week we was looking at the requirements because Britain is no longer part of the EU. Therefore, we have no right just to walk in and live in Spain. So the basic requirements are you need to spend a minimum of 500,000 euros on a property. Minimum. You need to have criminal background checks. You need to work with their tax system. You need to have private health insurance. In other words, you cannot go to Spain and live off their system, which I think is right, which I think is absolutely spot on. I would not want to go and live in someone else's country and abuse their system because that would be wrong. I would not want to go to live in another country and insist that they live under my rules or my culture. I would adapt to theirs. I would do my best to learn the language and to integrate. And whilst we was away, we went out for a meal and I could see my wife. I know when she's going to cry. We've been married 34 years nearly. And I said, what's the matter? You're going to cry. What's wrong? And then she did start to cry. And she said, I just want to live in my own country and feel safe. If there's any politicians watching this tonight, just think about that. This is a thoroughly decent woman that has brought up children, never been in trouble in any way, never even had a parking ticket that I can remember in her life, has never offended anyone, has helped people all of her life, is one of the kindest women, one of the kindest human beings you will ever meet in your life. And she sat at the dinner table crying. saying that she just wants to live in her own country and she wants to feel safe. And when she said that, she didn't just mean herself, she meant me, she meant her children, she meant her grandchildren, she meant all of us. That is very, very, very sad. Matthew, all small parties on the right, such as UKIP, etc., should now disband and lend support to Reform. It's the only way to win. Reform UK are the only right-wing party in Parliament. Matthew, thank you for that. We'll come to that in a minute. It's a very important statement there. Maggie O'Brien, thank you. What about those of us who can't afford to move? Well, absolutely, Maggie. We understand that. We understand that. I understand that people can't afford to move. But here's the thing: is that I love my country dearly. I love the people of my country dearly. I love our culture dearly. But I love my family more. And my main priority, my main duty as a man in life is to look after my loved ones and my family, to take care of my family. And I'm not saying that this is 100% on. I'm not saying this is 100% for sure. What I am saying is that it's a high chance that it will happen, at least whilst Labour are in power. So the possibilities of us leaving the UK for the next few years, foreseeable future, whilst this lot are in charge, are very high right now. And I was listening to Katie Hopkins earlier. If you haven't listened to Katie Hopkins today, have a listen to what she says in her video. Very, very accurate, very important, very sensible, and bang on the money. There are thousands and thousands of people right now that are looking to leave the UK and to take their money and their taxes with them. Velocity Rapture, thank you very much. I'm an American and share many of your feelings. I'm getting a second passport for Chechnya for options. Sadly, I've even thought that I might be happier in Russia. Can't believe I'm admitting that. Well, we have problems right across the Western world, but if Trump gets back in, I think you guys over there will be okay. Abatha, thank you very much. I want this to be peaceful. Let me be clear, but I don't think most Brits have the patience for it. I sadly think we've got about 2 to 5 months at most. Abatha, you know something? I think the British are more than patient. More than patient. So getting back to the main point, where do we go from here? And this gentleman earlier on talking about reform. Let me get Matthew's comment up again. All small parties on the right, such as UKIP, etc., should disband and lend support to reform. It's the only way to win. Reform UK are the only right-wing party in Parliament. Now, I've got my issues with reform. I have my issues with Nigel Farage. He has said things that I don't agree with. He has said things about certain people that I think were wrong, outrageous, and I think were disgraceful. But I think Matthew is right, ultimately. I think Matthew is right. Like it or not, I think that Reform UK are currently our biggest and our best chance to win back this country. Now, they're not perfect. And there are things about reform that I don't particularly appreciate, but you're never going to have it all your own way. You're never going to get everything that you want. Am I a supporter of Nigel Farage? I used to be, until he turned his back on a certain Mr. T. Not only did he turn his back on him, but he threw him under a bus, and I find that unforgivable, especially from someone that should know better, because he knows what it's like for people to try and throw him under a bus. But it is what it is. And I believe, it is my firm belief, that the way forward for us right now is to build a peaceful movement that agrees on a set of very, very basic, honest to goodness, genuine principles. A pledge that we've spoken about before. Sign the pledge. When the pledge is finished and it's ready for people to see, I believe we need to get millions of signatures on that pledge document. And it will be very short, sweet. It will be very simple. It will be a promise to love this country, to adhere to the law, to be peaceful, all the things that any decent person would want to sign. We need to get millions upon millions of people in this country from all walks of life, from all races, creeds, colours, backgrounds, cultures and religions to get behind the pledge. And then we take it to a political party, almost certainly Reform, and we say, we have 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 million voters. Do you want them? If you do, this is what we want. This is what we want. This is what we need. This is what we're asking you to give us in return for our votes. We don't have to be a political party. What we need to be is a very peaceful but powerful movement that can offer a political party millions of votes. Once we've got the backing of the people, once we have the backing of millions of people, all of the parties will listen to us, whether it be Labour, whether it be Conservative, whether it be Reform. It doesn't matter which party is in charge. If you have 5, 10 million people behind you that support the basic principles of a decent, peaceful United Kingdom, a united United Kingdom, those political parties will have to listen to you. They will have no choice. But I believe that Reform is the party that are most likely to listen. Now, during my speech that I hate giving on stage on the 27th, I said that for years, the tail has been wagging the dog when it comes to politics. The politicians have been the tail. We're always the dog because we are the people. We're the masses. We're the ones that have the vote. But the tail has been wagging the dog. I believe very firmly that with the right amount of signatures, the dog can start to wag the tail. And that is what we need to start doing. We need to be the dog that wags the tail and not the other way around, because that's how it's been now for too many years, far too many years. Abatha, thank you again. Yeah, thank you for that. David Crosby, Paul is boss. Tonight, you must stroke your pet white bagpuss. I miss the other two lads, Richard and Danny. They'll be back soon, hopefully. Yeah, they'll be back soon. Maggie says, I love and respect Lee Anderson. I like Lee. Reform have just disappointed me in it over the last few months. But I believe if we are to win our country back, if we are to succeed in the only way in which we can succeed, we need to make our peace with Reform. We need to be bigger than that. There is one person that is very important to everyone. We know who we're talking about. His safety and his future is important to people that understand that this is a persecuted man. But there's a bigger picture, and that is all of us. And the man himself will admit to that and say that he agreed. I'm sure that will be the case. The main goal here, the main prize, is our country, not any one individual. There should be, it's my belief that there should be no leaders to this movement. It belongs to everyone, all of us. There is no leader, there is no organizer, there is no organisation as such. It's a pledge that we all sign and people agree to. It's a basic sense of common British decency. Sufferfish, everyone please encourage your communities to vote in May. Oh, I think they will vote in May. Tesbot, thank you so much. Sad times. I agree about Farage, Tommy, but yes, may be our only chance. Tugsimp, when? It's going to snap very soon. Peace will end. I hope and pray that is wrong. Yeah, I mean, look, Tesbot, thank you for that. You know, none of us, or I say none of us, a lot of us are very unhappy with Nigel's comments. And they're unforgivable for me. But I'm not interested in Nigel. I don't really care about him. What I care about is the country. And if he and his party is the best route to win our country back with a heavy heart, I will back that. We can back that. Or we can back, and I mean, look, if we get 10 million people signing the pledge and the Tories sit up and take notice, we might work with the Tories. We might say, well, okay, we got 10 million voters here. What are you going to give us? What are you going to promise us? What are you going to guarantee us in return for our votes? Sightsee in the UK, thank you. Audi in Hove, A27, Snaky Hill, Paul, and 1,000 homes. Is that right? Do you know what? I did hear something about that. Let me just pop back into the chat here. Both my kids came home. It's been talked about in schools condemning the far right. Well, of course it will be. Because all the teachers are from the far left. God bless the UK. At Paul Thorpe, starting to look at my net worth. Got 5 kids. Do I run and keep my family safe? Think it's too gone now. Well, I think we are in the last chance saloon. We really are in the last chance saloon. The next general election is our last chance saloon. And we must never make the mistake that we made. Well, we didn't, because most of us watching this now, just under 4,000 of you, will have voted last time. You will have, you will have done your bit by voting, but there were far too many people that didn't vote. Millions upon millions. Many more people didn't vote than did. I don't think that's going to happen next time. Watling boy, how about a silent vigil with a message of silence? Not a bad idea at all. Stop paying the license fee for a start. Easy and measurable. Tim, good evening, my friend. Look, we always want every march to be peaceful. The problem with the others at the moment, when I say the others, the other side that is very violent, very prone to causing trouble, and very adept at organisation, we have to be careful and make sure that it's not infiltrated and trouble is caused and everyone else gets the blame. Evening, Lorraine. Abigail says Starmer is weak. I believe he's someone that gets hurt very easily and gets offended very easily. Rara, sorry, says, listening to Mayatuzi yesterday, he said there is a peaceful parade planned for October. Is that still happening? I haven't got confirmation of that just yet. Ben and Chunk says London event has to happen before Tommy court date. Gaz of Nottingham says we need a vote of no confidence. Well, that's not going to happen, mate, is it? Because his majority is far too big, unfortunately. And that's the people's fault. You know, people like myself, you know, and Richard and everyone else, Jeff Taylor, we all warned everyone, and as I'm sure many of you did, what life was going to be like under Labour. But I don't think even us realised just how bad it was going to be. Nicola says, all stand together. 27th was so uplifting. Never been on anything like that before. Met so many like-minded people and met new friends. I mean, look, every time we get together, that is what it's like, Nicola. There are no problems. It's all peace, love, happiness and flowers, right? But then the media lie about us, and that is just getting beyond a joke. Enlightened Patriot, good evening from a Patriot, currently caravanning near Blackpool. Thank you and all the truth reporters do. Look, I wish we could do more because, you know, as I said, at the moment we are working under restrictions, and there are some people out there. Let me just cover this for a moment. There are people out there that write to me and say, "Oh, Paul, you've lost your bowl. You're not speaking up. You're not saying what you want to say. I can tell." Well, it's all very well for those people to write and say, "I've lost my bowl," when I'm not saying what I should be saying. It's all very well when someone emails you and they're in no danger whatsoever. When you're in the firing line, like we are, all of us YouTubers that talk about this stuff, when we're in the firing line, it's very, very different, trust me. Very different. I promise you that. Let's have a look. Sightseeing the UK. Thank you. Yeah, I've done that one. Thank you very much for that, guys. If you haven't already given me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it if you do. Helps with the algorithm. I have lost a few subscribers recently, and my YouTube algorithm has actually gone backwards because I took down so many of the videos. Having said that, at one stage, this channel was running away with me. And I'll admit I couldn't handle the numbers. So the way things are now is quite nice. It's manageable, and it's manageable, put it that way. It's still difficult. It's still a lot of work, but it's manageable. Fentour, by the way, we have to thank Elon Musk for his stance on free speech and kicking Stalin in the bollocks. Yeah, I agree. We do. We do. Kim says we require boots on the ground in the lead up to the election in May. Look, we do, absolutely. We need to get people out there, leafleting, you know, speaking to people, doing all the volunteers is probably a better term under the current climate, Kim. That's how bad things have got. They're talking about a widow tax now, which will affect single pensioners the most. I mean, look, it's just getting absolutely disgraceful. And unbelievable. Yeah, they can't arrest 100,000 people, but what they can do is they can arrest certain people. So we have to make sure that we get it right, because they will try and do everything to make sure that it goes wrong. Sean says, what I am going to do is take the government to court over freedom of speech. That would be interesting. Hey to the USA. They are getting rid of our hereditary peers in the House of Lords, our birthrights, and will replace them with migrants and Muslims. Just you watch the traitor Labour Party. Margaret Williams, have you seen the army on the streets in New York? Because they're waiting on the verge on Donald Trump and they're expecting riot in New York. The world is upside down. Gabby says 1,000 more Labour voters on the shore yesterday and today and tomorrow. I haven't looked at the numbers, but why should we remain silent? Well, we shouldn't remain silent, Ryan, and we mustn't remain silent. But what I'm trying to get over to my audience is we have to do it properly, peacefully, legally, and to make sure that we protect each other. Because unless you have guidance, the right guidance, unless we do things correctly, all we'll see is repeats of people being arrested for things that they shouldn't, not only they shouldn't be doing, but they shouldn't necessarily be going to jail for afterwards. I don't want to see another person going to jail for a silly tweet or a stupid Facebook post. And the idiots that turn up and throw bricks, they're not on our side either. They're not doing the cause any good whatsoever. I understand their anger, but they're not doing anyone any favours, and they're absolutely crazy to do so. They're wrong. They should be punished. I'm not saying the punishment should be as heavy as they've received in some cases, but if you go throwing bricks, what do you expect? It's a stupid thing to do. So we have to regroup. We have to get behind, my opinion, the biggest thing that's coming up in the next few weeks is the pledge. We need to sign a pledge. We need to put it in front of our families, our friends, our neighbours, every single person that you live with, that you work with, that you go down the pub with, that you go out and socialise with, get them to sign the pledge. We need millions of people signing the pledge, committing to the pledge, so that we can take that to political parties, probably Reform, and say, look, this is what we want. We can bring you this much support, but we need guarantees. That is how we gain power. When I say how we gain power, I'm not talking about parliamentary power necessarily, or getting ourselves into, I mean, look, let's say I stood for Reform at the next general election that I won. Let's say I won a seat for Reform. What does it really give us? One extra MP. One extra MP. It's not going to change the world, is it? But what will change the country is if we've got 10, 15, 20 million people that we can go to a political party where we have no MPs, but we say to the leader, we say to Nigel Farage or Lee Anderson or Suella Braverman, whoever is in charge of Reform, or Kemi Badenoch, or whoever's in charge of the Tory party, and we say, you want 20 million votes? You want enough votes that will win you the next general election? This is where we're at. And this is how I believe that we can be powerful without ever becoming anything other than a peaceful movement of ordinary people from all backgrounds. And I mean truly uniting the kingdom, because everyone can sign the pledge. Everyone should want to sign the pledge. Everyone should want to be a part of the pledge, because it's about safety for your children's future. Warhawk City. Warhawk, Birmingham 2, Fulham 0. Keep right on, mate. Super sticker from Sammy Lee. Thank you, Sammy. Home media server. Reform is the only way forward. Richard blaming Farage is not helping them out, as Reform are only party trying to do something back to give. Look, I will not have. I understand totally what Richard says, because I believe that Richard is right. I believe that Nigel Farage has stabbed Tommy in the back, and I'm not happy about it. But I have to look past any of that. We have to look past that, and we have to look at who is going to be prepared to work for us, for the people. Now, like I said, it could be the Tories, it could be the Lib Dems. If we go to someone with 20 million votes and tell them this is what we want, this is how it works. This is how the trade unions work with Labour. The trade unions have millions of members, or many hundreds of thousands for sure. I don't know the exact figures. And the Labour Party pretty much do what the unions want them to do in many cases. Well, we need to be like the trade unions, but in a much different way, if that makes sense. Home media server, organised gatherings starting with Christian music. Not a bad idea. Suffer Fish, thank you very much. People get on the Reform website, volunteer to leaflet and door knocking for May, and we can take the pledge too. Alex, thank you so much. Doorstep protest, 8 p.m. every night on the doorstep. Not a bad idea, but a quick way to fall out with some of your neighbours, probably. Tesbot, mainstream media propaganda, shockingly effective, far right, absolutely. Debbie, the royal family wants to dismantle the Church of England. Debbie, I've always been a bit of a royalist, but I'm very, very upset with the royal family in recent times. Vanda, good evening, Vanda Fox. Watching any catch up, Paul. Lovely to see you. Please don't leave us. Won't be leaving you, that's for sure. Wherever I am, wherever I go, I'll continue to fight the good fight, peacefully and legally and through the right channels. But we must, this is the big one. This is the real big one now. We must get behind the pledge. I think there's going to be a relaunch of the pledge fairly soon. When that happens, we need to have the biggest campaign that we have ever seen to get the pledge signed, sealed, and delivered. Millions of us. And then the dog can start to wag the tail. That's the message, and that is the important thing that I believe. Is it too late? Is there hope? No, it's not too late, but it's getting close to it. We have one last chance. Is there hope? Absolutely. We'll never give up. Nobody's going to turn out the light on this country, but we've got to do it right. And I believe the pledge is the way forward. And our movement, if that's the right word, if you can even call it that, it's a group of people who have something in common, a love of this country, a love for their nation, a love for peace and harmony. That's what we are. And we need millions of people to sign it. Maggie O'Brien, ironically, you're lucky you don't live here in Ireland or Leland, Ireland. Yeah, our government, etc., have all gone rogue. Immigrant camps, 15,000 young men. Well, Maggie, I know things are not good out there. Tesbot says a return to Christianity could be the best defence against the radicals. Oh, dear. What a mess. What a mess. But there is hope. There's always hope while we have each other. There's always hope. And we will never give up. But it has to be done right, like I said. So I think the important thing for now, the big message for now, is that we keep calm, we sit back, we bide our time, we wait for the right messages, we wait for direction. When we get the direction and the pledge is ready, we sign it and we get this off, and it spreads like wildfire. This pledge must go through our nation like a dose of salts. Millions upon millions of votes. And I want you guys to trust me on something and believe what I say, because I believe it truly in my heart. If the pledge is a success, we can make an amazing difference. We can truly make a difference. And it's fast tracking it. It will be better than having an MP. It will be better than having 4 or 5 MPs. Reform, we could get to the point where we don't need reform. Reform need us. The dog that wags the tail, not the tail wagging the dog. Let me know what you think, guys, in the comments. Christian Adams is a new member. Asterix, thank you very much. Guys, after I deleted, or not deleted, but after I made private some of my videos, I lost a lot of members. Guys, got to keep the channel going. Need your support. If you can, sign up, become a member. I would really appreciate it. It's very, very cheap. All your super chats are very much appreciated. Thank you for your support. It means the world to me. I'm going to be releasing very shortly some other bits and pieces, news as we move forward. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I hope to have Richard and Danny back on the next time I'm live. I wanted to do this one tonight on my own because I wanted it to be just us. I wanted to get your feedback on a number of things. And I wanted to tell you that there is a possibility that somewhere down the line, it might be that I take my family to live abroad until we get rid of this Labour government. But that does not mean for one moment that my involvement would end. I would continue, because I will fight this fight until my last breath now. But I have to take care of my family first. That is the most important thing. And as I said, nothing is written in stone just yet. But it's a distinct possibility, because I need to make sure that my girls are safe. I need to make sure that my family's safe. So that's it for this evening. If you haven't already upvoted, please do so. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. We'll be back very soon. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have a lovely weekend. Much love to you all. We'll be back soon talking about, amongst other things, the Labour councillor, Ricky Jones, who is in court tomorrow for sentencing. We can't really talk about that today for legal reasons, or it's advisable not to. But we'll talk about it when the verdict or the sentence is delivered, amongst other things. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay well. Love to you all, and I'll see you soon.